Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Shreshtham Manamapi Satchiputramatra Swarupam Rupam Tasya Agrajamurupuring Maturim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Vandeham Shri Guru Shiyataf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavans Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanta. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 16, text 7. Pravriting cha nivriting cha janana vidura suraha na shochang na picha charo na satyang teshu vidyate. Here, Tamil translation is over here. Announce it again for the newcomers. Okay. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done, neither cleanliness, nor proper behavior, nor truth is found in them. Purport. In every civilized human society there is some set of scriptural rules and regulations which is followed from the beginning. Especially among the Aryans, those who adopt the Vedic civilization and who are known as the most advanced civilized peoples, those who do not follow the scriptural injunctions are supposed to be demons. Therefore, it is stated here that the demons do not know the scriptural rules, nor do they have any inclination to follow them. Most of them do not know them, and even if some of them know, they have not the tendency to follow them. They have no faith, nor are they willing to act in terms of the Vedic injunctions. The demons are not clean, either externally or internally. One should always be careful to keep his body clean by bathing, brushing teeth, shaving, changing clothes, etc. As far as internal cleanliness is concerned, one should always remember the holy names of God and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The demons neither like nor follow all these rules for external and internal cleanliness. As for behavior, there are many rules and regulations guiding human behavior, such as the Manu Sanghita, which is the law of the human race. Even up to today, those who are Hindu follow the Manu Sanghita. Laws of inheritance and other legalities are derived from this book. Now, in the Manu Sanghita, it is clearly stated that a woman should not be given freedom. That does not mean that women are to be kept as slaves, but they are like children. Children are not given freedom, but that does not mean that they are kept as slaves. The demons have now neglected such injunctions, and they think that women should be given as much freedom as men. However, this has not improved the social condition of the world. Actually, a woman should be given protection at every stage of life. She should be given protection by the father in her younger days, by the husband in her youth, and by the grown-up sons in her old age. This is proper social behavior according to the Manu Sanghita. But modern education has artificially devised a puffed-up concept of womanly life, and therefore marriage is practically now an imagination in human society. Nor is the moral condition of woman very good now. The demons therefore do not accept any instruction which is good for society, and because they do not follow the experience of great sages and the rules and regulations laid down by the sages, the social condition of the demoniac people is very miserable. And Srila Prabhupada, in the beginning of this purport, speaks about the Aryans, who are the most advanced civilized people, and he says that those who don't follow the scriptural injunctions are demons. So I wonder what people reading in Tamil feel about that, because there's this idea being propagated that Aryan means North Indian and Tamil means Dravidian. So what does it mean? That all the Tamil people are demons? Well, those who propagate this theory that there's an Arya-Dravida divide, they're demons. It's a completely bogus idea. From time immemorial, it's the same culture in North India and South India, worshipping Rama and Shiva, and divisions of society, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. It's been going on since time immemorial. It's not this Aryan invasion theory, but Ram came some 17 million years ago. And now they'll say, well, there weren't any humans at that time. No Homo sapiens. Well, that's another demoniac idea. that humans are just products of chemicals that evolved, and then some of them became Aryans and invaded North India and pushed all the Dravidians down south. All bogus. So many bogus ideas. Aryan means someone who, as Prabhupada writes here, someone who lives according to the scriptural injunctions. High class, civilized people. It means those who follow the Varnashram system. And again, that's completely misunderstood, especially here in Tamil Nadu due to certain politicians. Brahmin means Brahmin by culture. Kshatriya means Kshatriya by culture. And so on. Anyway, that's not the main point I chose to speak on this verse about. Something else I'm going to speak about. Something controversial. I haven't spoken on anything very controversial for quite some time. Controversial, what does that mean? There are different opinions, strongly felt opinions about certain things, certain topics. I haven't spoken about such topics for some time, and I should do, because Srila Prabhupada did regularly. Specifically on the topic of feminism. You may say, why is this sannyasi talking about all this? And why do you want to talk? We just came here Sunday morning. We want to hear something, some nectar about Krishna. Some of us do. Why should we? Why should we consider such things? Why sannyasi? Yeah, sannyasi should just be absorbed in topics of Krishna, but we find that Srila Prabhupada was a sannyasi and he spoke about so many social topics. And Vyasadeva gave so much discussion of so many topics relating to society. We want to be Krishna conscious, but it's also very helpful to have an atmosphere for being Krishna conscious in. Just like, for instance, it's much easier to practice and propagate Krishna consciousness in India than it is in Saudi Arabia or Pakistan. Why is that? Because in India, the remnants of the old Vedic culture are still strong, going on under the name of Hindu culture, whereas their different ideas shape the way of life in Muslim countries. So ideas are very influential, and it becomes very So similarly, feminism is an idea which is being propagated in human society. I think probably more strongly in India than any other country at the present time. You may say, well, more strongly than in the West? Yes. Because in the West they already more or less got what they wanted. Although some feminists are pushing. First of all, they say we want to be equal with the men, and now they want to stamp on their heads. That's why many women in the West are against feminism, because they say it's too much, it's gone too far. So this is a very powerful social influence. You may say, well, what's wrong? Women, men all have equal rights and this and that. Well, because it's against the natural order. By the natural order, some conditioned souls are born in the bodies of men, some are born in the bodies of women, according to their previous desires and activities. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Karmana Daiva Netrainer Jantur Deho Papatyaye. According to our karma, our activities, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord and His representatives, the living being gets different bodies. And the desire is also there. That also has an effect. Shariram yadavapnoti yat chap yut kramatishvaraha. What's the next line? Grihit vaitani sangyati vayoriva vayogandha nivashayat. Yeah. There's another verse, right? Vaya eva sudushkram. I was getting mixed up with that in the 6th chapter. So we carry the subtle body. We go from body to body to body according to the consciousness that we have developed. So on the spiritual platform, everyone is equal. That's why in the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, they say that we just take it as axiomatic that every human is equal. But that's not true. Some have strong bodies, some have weak bodies, some people are from birth very intelligent, some people are from birth very low intelligence. But why do we say people are equal? Some are born in rich families, some are born in poor families. The equality is on the spiritual platform. It's a metaphysical concept. We're all equal spiritually, but materially we have different situations. And the natural order is to act according to the situation that we have attained. If a human tries to act like a cow, it's absurd. That's an extreme example. The Varnashram system is very scientific, that people are placed in different roles suitable to their psychophysical propensities and abilities, and they can work best in that way for their own good and for that of society. So this is the natural order which is given in Shastra, but the demons, they don't believe in any natural order, as stated in the next verse. Satyam apratishtamte jagadahuranishvaram aparaspara sambhutam kimanyat kama hetukam. They don't believe that there is any ultimate truth. They don't believe there is any order, any particular order in the universe. Of course, by science they study the order, but they say there's no ordering principle. It's just like that. They go to so much scientific study to find out how this energetic field interacts with another energetic field, and how different atoms interact with other atoms. They go to, there's so much study of the order in the universe, but ultimately they say there's no ordering principle. Not very scientific. Because they're demons. Demon means that they have the propensity from the outset to reject any divine order. So the idea that all are equal is actually a demoniac idea. You may say, well, no, it's not. It's a demoniac idea to say that someone's superior to someone else. No, it's not. It's run the other way. It's recognizing the natural order that is required in human society. Why people in the modern age are so much against? Why are they so much against recognizing that some people are superior to others? Because one reason may be they're very afraid of exploitation. Because if someone is given power over someone else, superior means they have they have power. They have more rights, you could say. They have more privileges. Then it becomes a privilege and not a right. Then they're very afraid that people will exploit that. But the Vedic culture is religious culture. It's meant to guide everyone with the understanding that human life is not meant for enjoying this world or exploiting this world, but for serving God, so that we may come to Him or go to Him. And therefore, those who are superior, they're supposed to be superior not simply in the exercise of their physical or mental or social power, but in their character. Therefore, Brahmanas were so much respected. Because of their learning is one reason, but the character. They're supposed to be a very good character. That they have so much learning and so much power and influence, but they don't misuse it. They act for the benefit of others. So all these points are misunderstood, and therefore what Srila Prabhupada stated here in this purport, it becomes controversial. It wouldn't be controversial if everyone agreed with it. And practically, say 100 years ago in India, maybe a little before that, before the British came, everyone would agree with this, including the women. Then the British brought ideas of equality. Of course, they had a structured equality, the idea of equality, but still the British are superior to the Indians. We are more equal than you. All animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. But they expressed horror at the social conditions in India of the downtrodden Shudras and the women. They came all the way to India to help the Indians, and meanwhile at home in England they were by cutting off the thumbs of the weavers in Bengal, they took all the cotton business to Manchester, and there they made slums in which they forcibly moved people, the laborers, off the land and put them in terrible conditions so that they could work in the cotton mills. So they were simultaneously ruling India with the idea that we're helping the Indian people because they're so backward. In the meantime, they were exploiting their own people, all for money. That's what it all comes down to. What is the basis of modern civilization? What do you think? Truth, equality, what is that? Liberty, equality, fraternity, no, it's money. Profit. Why are these drones and bombs being dropped in Iraq and Syria? Someone's making some money out of it all. Why are they so concerned about making a democratic government in Iraq? Because there's oil there. That's all. Otherwise, if it was just complete desert with no oil, they wouldn't give a damn. People could be killing each other left, right and center. What do they care? If it's for oil, that's oil. Money, it's all money. It's demoniac civilization. Completely demoniac. So this feminism is one symptom of that. They may say, well, what's the big thing? Just let everyone do whatever they like and chant Hare Krishna. What's the problem? The problem is that the binding force in the material world, that which keeps us from Krishna, what is that? Pungsastriya mithani bhavametam tayoraho hridaya grantimahuhu. Aho griha kshetra sutapta vittair janasya moho yamahammameti. In this verse comes the word vitta, which means wealth or money. Why are people crazy after money? Well, there's something even more at the root of material insanity, confusion, bewilderment, moha. In this verse the word moha comes. Bewilderment. That is the sexual attraction between male and female. The actual basis of existence is love for Krishna. That becomes perverted as attraction between male and female. And that becomes a very strong attraction. So you can become completely tied up. The hearts of male and female become completely tied up. And therefore one becomes attached to one's home, property, country, relatives, and completely bewildered, thinking in terms of I, me, and mine. So the Vedic culture is designed to restrict that. It's not only in Vedic culture, actually in all cultures all over the world. It's always been like that, because they know that sexual attraction is very, very powerful, and if it's not regulated, then it causes chaos in human society. And there can be no question of godliness or saintliness if someone is promiscuous, sexually promiscuous. Salacious, which means overly interested in sex. Srila Prabhupada writes in one purport in the 7th canto, a civilization, no, I'll read it. Yeah, unnecessary association with women, even with one's mother, sister or daughter, is strictly prohibited. This is human civilization. A civilization that allows men to mix unrestrictedly with women is an animal civilization. In Kali Yuga, people are extremely liberal, but mixing with women and talking with them as equals actually constitutes an uncivilized way of life. And why is that? That is described in the verse which immediately follows this purport, a section of which I just read. It's a verse which comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, also comes in Manu Sanghita. Nan vagni pramada nama gritta kumbha sama puman sutam api rahoja yad anyada yavad artakrit. Woman is compared to fire and man is compared to a butter pot. Therefore a man should avoid associating even with his own daughter in a secluded place. Similarly, he should also avoid association with other women. One should associate with women only for important business and not otherwise. And this instruction is being given to very civilized people. Who's going to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam? Not the drunkards. It's for Srimad Bhagavatam, very high-class people will take interest in listening to that. This Bhagavatam was spoken, first of all, in this Kali Yuga, to Sonakadi Rishi, the rishis headed by Sonaka and Naimisharanya. So these are very cultured people. But still, they should be careful. So what to speak of anyone else? Now, As I said, 100 years ago in India, talks like this wouldn't be considered controversial. Everyone would accept. Yes, that's the way it should be. And not only India, in so many other places. Nowadays it's controversial because there's a new idea being promoted. That, well, everyone is all equal. This accompanies the atheistic idea that, well, we're only here once and we should just enjoy ourselves as much as we can. Eat, sleep, drink, be merry and enjoy, for tomorrow we shall all be dead. But actually that's not a fact. What we do in this life, that makes our future. And if we properly utilize this human life, we can get free from birth and death and go to the spiritual world with Krishna. But if we engage in illicit sex life, then we get very severe reactions. Or even if we engage in licit sex life, that also brings difficulty, not nearly as much as by illicit sex life. Difficulty means their children to be looked after. Of course, the parents, that's a pleasure for them. Maybe not so much nowadays. They see it more as a burden than a pleasure. But it's a labor of love, burden of love, that's supposed to be. But with the idea that, well, we're all supposed to enjoy, then what's enjoy? The main enjoyment is sexual enjoyment. So just enjoy. What does it matter? Anyway, you die and you're finished. This idea is prominent in the world due to the demoniac theory, which everyone in India is supposed to. The government has made this right to education, which means you're forced to go to school and study Darwin's theory, which teaches that there was a blob of chemicals and it came to life. We didn't discover how or why or what life even means, but the blob expanded and it became a bigger blob. And then it became a fish. Then it crawled onto the land. Didn't have any legs, but maybe some fish got washed up onto the land, and simultaneously, by genetic mutation, grew some legs. It became a lizard. It became a monkey. And then it became Charles Darwin. And in the meantime, all other species came, including giraffes. Giraffe has a very long neck, so that it can reach up very high and take the leaves of the tree. By genetic mutation, how did that happen? There was a dog. One time a dog was born with a 3-meter long neck, by genetic mutation. Then it became a giraffe. Now I wonder, how could you get a giraffe by genetic mutation? Because either if it's just a little bit too short, then it can't reach the tree, right? But it's got a huge long neck. Maybe the trees by genetic mutation were getting higher and higher also, I don't know. But then they should still be getting higher so they can get away from the giraffes. Ask Charles Darwin. But anyway, this theory is taught. And the underlying supposition is that, well, there's asatyam apratishtam te jagadahuranishwaram aparaspara sambhutam kim anyat kama haitukam. There's no God, there's no reason. It's just, we're just here. Who are we? Don't ask stupid questions like that. Anyway, you're gonna die, so just enjoy yourself. And then to enjoy, you have to get money, so you have to go to school and college for years and years and get a loan, and then pay it all off, and that takes another bunch of years, and then you get a house loan, and that takes all your life. So when can you enjoy? Well, there's only Saturday night left. So in Bangalore especially, the pub culture, the young IT workers, they have to do all the enjoyment in a few hours on Saturday night. So they have illicit sex, they drink, and this and that. And they're miserable. They're not happy. It's what do they call that? The production line on the conveyor belt. In the factories they have this. So they go from being an innocent child in a village in Karnataka or Tamil Nadu, then they go to the VIT or something like this, get an education, then they get an IT job in Bangalore, and then they go to the psychiatric hospital in Bangalore. There's so many. It's one of the biggest businesses in Bangalore, psychiatric hospital for all the IT people that don't make it to the Hare Krishna movement or get converted to Christianity. That's another thing. The Christians are doing well also, telling them the truth is Jesus. You can still drink wine and eat meat. It's a failed philosophy. This idea that we shall be happy by enjoying the senses, it's a failed philosophy. When did it fail? It's always been, since the beginning of creation. It doesn't happen. The great acharya of material enjoyment is Hiranyakashipu. He was a failure. He thought he was a success, but he was a failure also. Anyone who thinks I'm a success, it means they're a complete idiot. They've been brainwashed into thinking that you work hard, get a job, get lots of money, and then you're a success. Idiot. They have no idea what the actual goal of life is. But all of India is a success. Got to be a success. Got to work hard. They made people into asses very successfully by all this wrong propaganda. Anyway, getting back to feminism, some of you may be aware that I wrote a book called Women, Masters and Mothers, which the GBC of ISKCON is about to, they made a resolution to ban it. They haven't quite passed it yet. I'm still trying to put it off. Because it's controversial, because it says, it just brings together all these quotes of Srila Prabhupada. And some of our devotees think, well, that's not good. People won't like it. I don't know what they think exactly. It doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, I looked on Amazon, where it's available there, and there's a review there by someone who says, what do you expect someone from the Hare Krishna movement to write? Because their guru, Prabhupada, he was misogynistic. Misogynistic means hating women. Is it hatred of women to say that they should take their natural role to be mothers and look after their children and not be just like street girls, sluts? Is it misogynistic? No. But some people take it, demoniac people take it that, well, everyone should just enjoy. And Prabhupada's speaking what is for the benefit of everyone, for all of human society, they take that to be hatred of women. Well, first of all, you should understand, what does it mean to be a woman? You don't even understand. You think that a woman is some mass of chemicals, and a man is a different, somewhat differently formed mass of chemicals. It's a total misunderstanding right from the beginning. The body is male or female. It's a body that's received after many births and deaths. The human body is meant for self-realization. So the social roles that men and women should play in society, they're different roles which are conducive for them to pursue self-realization. What does it mean to be a woman? They think a woman means you're born and you die, and in between you have to enjoy as much as you can. But the one who sees, pashanti jnana chakshushaha, Those who see with the eye of knowledge, that shariram yadavapnoti, then comes utkramantam stitam vapi bunjanam va guran vitam vimurha nanu pashyanti jnana chakshusha. One who sees with the eye of knowledge sees that we go from body to body to body. People who are foolish, they don't see this. So we get body after body, and the different kinds of bodies which we try to utilize for enjoying the three modes of nature. So those who see with the eye of knowledge, they can understand actually how to advise people, how to play certain roles which are given in scripture. And those who are demoniac, they don't accept this. To people who are demoniac, this idea, varnashram dharma, that brahmanas are superior to kshatriyas, kshatriyas are superior to vaishyas, vaishyas are superior to shudras, and then below that is everyone else. They think this is horrible. Oh, in the Western countries, they make all this propaganda. India, caste system, very bad. Actually, the caste system as it was going on, there were many imbalances in that. Well, we'll still see in many villages in India that different castes, one caste lives in one street, another caste lives in another street. But originally the system was more flexible. It wasn't just by birth. It may be largely by birth, but not wholly by birth. Yasya yal lakshanang proktam pungsang yang vani pungso yang vani avyanjakam yadanyatrapi drishyeta tat tenaiva vinayadishet. Sorry for my not remembering the verses properly. There's a verse which Srila Prabhupada often quoted from Narad Muni in the 7th canto of Bhagavatam, recorded there, that there are all the divisions of society, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. He explained about brahmacharis, grihastha, vanaprasthas and sannyasis. But he said that if someone is born in a situation, but they don't fit in that situation, they're better situated in another situation, then they should be accepted as such. And of course there are so many examples of that in Shastra. There's the Vajra Shuchika Upanishad. Practically that's the only subject it describes. How people are born in different ways, but they may be accepted as brahmanas. Even though they're not born in Brahmin families. But to the demons it seems horrible, because their idea is that, well, everyone should have equal opportunity to degrade themselves in sense. Of course they don't say that. They think to get more opportunity to become degraded, they think that's more elevated. That's actually in the Constitution of the United States of America. We deem it self-evident that everyone has an equal right to the pursuit of happiness. Now, what is this pursuit of happiness? It means just trying to enjoy yourself. They have no idea of the actual goal of life. Or if we mistake spiritually equal to be materially equal, that's also a great mistake. If you think, well, everyone's devotee, when you become a devotee, then it's all the same. But still, as Srila Prabhupada often pointed out when he was discussing matters of feminism, that you may say men and women are the same, but still it's the women who have to give birth to the babies. The men are not going to do that. If you want true equality, then the men have to start giving birth also. But that's not, maybe these demons, they'll do some scientific arrangement by which that's possible. You never know. But it's going against the natural order. And we're finding out more and more that the last, say, 200 years of man tampering with nature in the idea of improving it And with increasing velocity, they're tampering with nature. But the results are increasingly disastrous. It's a very great threat to the whole ecosystem of the world. So, if we have the idea that, well, once you chant Hare Krishna, it's all the same. Because we're all equal, we're all spiritual, we're all devotees. But still the bodies are different, the mentality that goes with the female body. It's not that one just automatically becomes a Paramahamsa as soon as one picks up beads and says Hare Krishna. You might have noticed in your own case that it's not that you just start chanting Hare Krishna and then immediately all the thoughts, all the material attachments go away. It's not like that at all. So human life is meant for God realization because the human vehicle, which means the gross body and the subtle body, is suitable for cultivating self-realization. It's cultivation. It doesn't all happen at once. Krishnanushilanam means cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnanakamadyanavritam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktirutama. The highest level of bhakti, devotional service, is that which is conducted without any other, or with the aspiration to come to the stage where one has no other desire but to serve Krishna, haituki apratihata, unmotivatedly, constantly. That aspiration, not aspiring for material success or liberation, only serving Krishna in a way that Krishna wants us to serve Him. So, alright, always Krishna, yes, that's the subject. Krishna, yes. We're supposed to be serving Krishna. Srila Prabhupada gave us Krishna. Krishna Shaitoma, Krishna Dite Paro. Tomara Shakatiyache. Krishna is yours. Prabhupada gave us Krishna. Krishna is given. Prabhupada gives Krishna. He has the power to do so. Then why did Prabhupada speak on so many social issues, science and this and that? Because he wanted to spread Krishna consciousness. And you say, well, what's that got to do with Krishna consciousness? Because what does Krishna consciousness begin with? If we think that we're this body, then we'll think that, well, Krishna was just another body. If any body as such as Krishna ever existed, we'll think, well, he's another human being. The beginning of spiritual life is to understand that we're not the body. If we don't understand that, then how can we understand anything spiritual? We're talking about spiritual life. Spiritual life means, first of all, to distinguish the body from the soul. That's the first teaching of Bhagavad Gita. We can't properly understand God unless we understand we're not the body. Therefore we have in prominent sects of Christianity the idea that on the day of judgment God comes and He raises you from the dead, the same body. Because people think, I'm this body. They can't imagine that they're not the body. So even though the body rotted long ago and probably some of your descendants are eating your body, even if you're a vegetarian, because the body was eaten by maggots and then they passed out stool and then that became soil and then that became the lettuce vegetable which the vegetarian is eating. So your great something grandchild is eating some chemicals which were in your body. So somehow or other God by His inconceivable potency brings all those chemicals back, but He might destroy the body of your great grandson if He does so, to reconstruct the same body. So it's a very primitive understanding actually, to think that we are this body. We're not the body. It's the first lesson of spiritual life. But people can't understand that. So if we're to spread Krishna consciousness, we have to teach, first of all, we're not the body, first teaching of Bhagavad Gita, we're eternal spirit soul. But these ideas like Darwinism, feminism, they're all contributing to the idea that we are the body and we're meant to enjoy this world. Scientism. So Srila Prabhupada, he was very strong against all these wrong ideas, because as long as people have those ideas, then they're not going to be Krishna conscious. They won't even be inclined. They'll be against it, maybe. Just like I said, here in India, people are more open to the idea of becoming Krishna conscious. It's more difficult if we go to Pakistan, among the majority of the population. The great majority of the population there are not as predisposed, not nearly as predisposed toward Krishna consciousness. In fact, they may be against it, as are many people in India, because of their cultural background, the ideas they have. So all these ideas that we are the body is simply chemicals, human society, everyone should be equal, then how can we establish a society which is favorable for cultivating Krishna consciousness? If we have the idea, well, everyone's equal, men and women all mix up, and then illicit sex, it's all okay, and you just have to be loving and tolerant and forgiving and non-judgmental. That's how it starts. When in a so-called liberal society, when men and women start to have illicit sex, a man runs off with his best friend's wife or something like that, they say, well, you have to be loving and tolerant and forgiving. They recognize something's wrong, but they say, well, it's not so wrong. And then after some time, they don't find anything wrong with it. Then after some time they'll be saying, oh, you've been married 5 years and you still didn't run off with your best friend's wife. What's wrong with you? And it gets worse and worse and worse. It's a slippery slope into hell. So, what is the meaning of this? Srila Prabhupada writes here, the demons, they promote a puffed up concept of womanly life. Where is that? Yeah. Modern education has artificially devised a puffed up concept of womanly life. So it's both modern education and feminism. Both get a bash in one half of a sentence. What is the puffed up concept? The puffed up concept that women should come up and excel and show themselves to be, that they've been oppressed. They should show themselves to be so great. They can do as well as men. They can do better than men. It's all based on, puffed up means pride. Based on the pride. Yeah, I'll show you. We can do as well as you. We can do better than you. See, all the problems in society were caused by men. Now the women will show. We can also make at least as bad problems as the men. They say they'll make it better, but they don't make it better. Just like now, this election is going to go on. Basically, unless there's some big upset, it's between the same old two have been there for years and years and years. There's Amma and this Karunanidhi. It's the same two. But in the day-to-day life of people, it doesn't make that much difference. It's the same corruption and same thing is going on. If one party will give you a mixie, someone else will give you a TV, and basically they just want to exploit you, that's all. It's not that everything becomes wonderful because we have a woman in charge. There's no such thing. So the idea that everything is going to be wonderful and great, the women are going to show, this puffed up idea, proud idea, based on the misunderstanding of what it means to be a woman. What does it actually mean? It means that due to my past sinful activities, I got this body. Now I have to act in a way that's conducive for God realization. It means I have to follow the Shastric injunctions. What does it mean to be a man? Due to my past sinful activities, I'm still in this material world. Now I have to act in a way according to the directions of Shastra to get out of this material world. So a puffed up concept of womanly life that, go ahead, show we're so great and become a space, astronaut, the first Indian woman astronaut. And then she got blown into pieces when that rocket blew up in, where was that? We were in Punjab? Someplace we were there. We had a program there. That Chawla, what's her name? Kalpana Chawla. She had a kalpana that she'd go into space, but it was only a kalpana. Kalpana means imagination. So they had a whole hall in her name dedicated to the great hero. Well, hero what? She sat in the thing and it blew up to pieces. How does that make you a hero? The men are blown to pieces and the women also. So she's just the whole modernized civilization, just one big kalpana, just one imagination. So, tamasi ma jyotir gamaya, come out of the darkness, come to the light, read Srila Prabhupada's books, understand what Srila Prabhupada said, try to follow. Everything should become clear, but don't cloud it up with all these completely bogus ideas imported from this completely bogus so-called civilization. Anarya jushtam aswargyam akirti karamarjuna. Klaibyam mahsmagamafparta naitat tvayupapadyat. This verse spoken by Krishna. Come on, Arjuna, what are you talking about? What nonsense. Arjuna speaking, yes, we have to act properly and don't be sinful. Krishna said, what nonsense are you talking? You're not talking like an Arya. You're talking like a damn eunuch. Klaibyang masmakam. You're talking like an idiot. You know what? I just really, really? Seemed to make sense to me. And he tried again and said, yeah, but how can we kill Bhishma and Drona? And then he broke down and said, okay, you tell me. I don't know, you tell me. And still he couldn't get it. And Krishna had to go again and again and again. And Arjuna, he couldn't. And then eventually, okay. Sarvametad vritang manye yang man. Okay, now I understand. Okay, Krishna. So it may seem that we're talking learned words, but we don't really get it. So don't ascribe to this puffed up concept of womanly life. Understand, these bodies are not meant for our enjoyment. It's not that now I have to show myself and be very great. And even within Krishna consciousness, now I have to be a great preacher. I have to show everyone I can preach more than anyone else. Then you can't preach, you preach some nonsense, but it may even sound like Krishna consciousness, just like Arjuna. It sounded, read the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it's in, Arjuna, whoa, what a great philosopher. And then you start the second chapter, and Krishna just, nonsense. I can't believe what nonsense you're talking. Oh. It takes the whole Bhagavad Gita to understand that. Why? Because we're all in the situation as Arjuna. We think, yes, very good. I understand everything very nicely. And so to hear Krishna, we have to hear Krishna through his representative, Bhagavad Gita as it is. Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. I'll finish there. Does anyone have any questions, please? What especially was interesting did you find? Now you have to think about it. Darwin's theory. You find that very interesting. You never heard that before. You never heard refutation of Darwin's theory before?
I had, but when I heard today, it was even more
Interesting. All right. So now what's your interesting question?
So, in the context of this topic, when we look at the Dhyana Shlokas of Bhagavatam, where it says, Sat Sriya Sat Patiriyata, whereas the Pati...
Which shlokas?
Dhyana Shlokas?
Jnana shlokas? Dhyana shlokas.
Sat Sriya Sat Patiriyata, wherein the Pati is under the control of wife, wherein they are both devotees, and the wife is controlling the
Oh, I see. Yeah, but okay. Now we're talking about the mechanics of it. Yeah, the wife controls the husband by her loving, submissive behavior. That's what Krishna says. Isn't it? I never heard that called Dhyana shlokas. Anyway, that's what he says to Durvasa. That I'm not independent. I'm under the control of my devotees. Just like the husband is, constitutionally the husband is in a superior role, but he becomes controlled by the love of his wife. And Narayan gave this example to Durvasa, that I'm controlled by my devotees, just as a man is controlled by the love of his wife. Go see the context. Constitutionally, Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he comes under the control of his devotees by their submissive, loving service. So, the puffed up concept means to want to take a superior role instead of being submissive, loving wife and mother, which is actually good training for being a submissive, loving devotee of Krishna. You know the context, right? In which this was spoken? Yeah. Go see the context. You only heard this line, is it? You only heard that one line, you don't know the context? How did you suddenly come out with that? Someone was trying to show that women control men, is it, by quoting that? But they didn't quote the context.
The context was love itself.
Love, but love means love for Krishna. And who you heard that from? They said this is Dhyana shloka. Is it? Were you the one who gave the lecture that he heard? Bhagavat Mahatma. Okay. I must say I haven't made a study of that. Okay, anything else? Do we have, speak in the mic. Then we only have this here? Okay, just speak and I'll repeat it.
I'm a servant of His Holiness Devamrita Swami Maharaj.
You're a servant of His Holiness Devamrita Swami. Hare Krishna.
When we went to Sri Lanka, we were having a...
We're all servants of Prabhupada, right? Okay, go on.
When we went to Sri Lanka...
when we went to Sri Lanka, we means who?
Some of the devotees, we went to Sri Lanka to do a drama for the opening of the temple.
You went to Sri Lanka to do a drama for the opening of the temple. Jaffna, they had a temple opening. I didn't even know. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So we were having a discussion about Prabhupada's Deva Varnashrama Dharma.
Having a
discussion about Prabhupada's idea of having
Deva Varnashram.
Srila Prabhupada's idea of Daiva Varnashram. Actually, it's Krishna's idea. But go on.
And
Daiva Varnashram. It's not something Prabhupada invented.
okay. The question that came up was, everybody will be chanting, but is it okay to call a person who's chanting a Shudra, even though they form...
Everyone will be chanting, is it okay to call anyone who's chanting a Shudra? You could also ask, is it okay to call anyone a Brahmin? The idea that it's not okay to call someone a Shudra gives the idea that the position of a Shudra would be lower than that of a Brahmin. Is there any hierarchy in Vaishnava society? Yes, there is. Even in the spiritual world, we find that in Krishna Leela, Krishna is mostly he's with the Gopajati, he's with the Vaishyas, but there are Brahmanas also. So there is division, but it's secondary. It's a social division. It's not seen in terms of exploitation or self-aggrandizement. Also, it's not so rigid. A devotee is willing to do anything and everything for Krishna. If required, the devotee, he can do anything. He can, even in normal society, that's stated, the apad dharma. In an emergency, anyone can do anything. Now that's another point why a sannyasi should speak about all these things, feminism, and it's an emergency. The whole society is being misled by feminism and so many wrong ideas. So someone should speak about this, just as Prabhupada spoke about it. Otherwise we may not need to speak about all these things. Yeah, at the same time one shouldn't think that a Vaishnav is defined by his social position. If one thinks like that, that's hellish intelligence. Vaishnave jati buddhi, sanaraki savaisa. One who thinks of a Vaishnav in terms of his social position is of hellish intelligence. But at the same time, we find, if you see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, which is very close chronologically compared to Krishna's Leela, there was, everyone is accepted as a Vaishnava, but still the social conventions were going on, of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. When Govinda came to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, shortly after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas, he had previously been the servant of Ishvara Puri. And Sarvabhauma, I believe it was, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why did Ishvara Puri, who's Brahmin, because sannyasi in those days means you have Brahmin caste. Of course you could be a tantric sannyasi, but that's not accepted as... That's not within civilization, practically. Why did he keep a Shudra? Because Govinda was from the Shudra caste. I believe his surname was Karmaka, said to be. Karmaka means a smith. You know, like blacksmith. So there's a very interesting statement which... Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, playing on words, that Ishvara is Swatantra. Ishvara means the Supreme Lord, and Ishvara Puri is the Guru of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he's not Paratantra, he's not under the rules and regulations of human society. So in other words, that consideration was there. Govinda was accepted. Chaitanya, he was accepted even though as a servant of a Brahmana, even though he's from Shudra caste. Now you may think, well, Shudra, he's supposed to do service, but it seems, you'd have to see exactly, because they're so complex, different rules in different societies and sampradayas, but it seems that for a servant of a, personal servant of a Sannyasi should also, that should generally be in a mutt. The Brahmanas, they also act as personal servants. Brahmana boys, they do like that. Anyway, the consideration was there. Haridas wasn't allowed into the temple of Jagannath. Even Rupa and Sanatan, even though they're born in high-class Brahmin families, they weren't allowed in the temple of Jagannath because they had become Mlecha Sevi, Mlecha Sangi. They'd become servants and associates of Muslims. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he didn't interfere with that. It's a big discussion. But, if there's going to be Varnashram, then people are going to have to be designated as Brahmana, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. Otherwise there's no Varnashram, is there? Unless everyone becomes a Paramahamsa. As in Satya Yoga, there was no Varnashram. Because everyone was on the Paramahamsa status, with a few exceptions. And then there wasn't any society yet also, because everyone was just, there was no organization. There was no need. Societal organization is required when we have any other aim than self-realization. Otherwise we don't need any society at all. But that's not going to happen in this Kali Yuga. What does unity and diversity mean? Well, Srila Prabhupada said that the leaders of our society should come together every year in Mayapur to discuss this. So it's a big topic. What it means to someone could mean something different to someone else. Someone might think unity and diversity. I'm different to you. I'm superior to you, so you just all do what I say, and that's unity and diversity. That's one way of taking unity and diversity. Another way of taking it, at the other extreme, is, well, everyone just does whatever they like, and then we all smile at each other. But that's not really unity. That's laxity in diversity. So unity means we all have the same common goal, which we work together, but we do so in various ways. That's what I could say in brief, off the top of my head. Unity and diversity, but everything should be... That doesn't mean that... Let's phrase this differently. Diversity doesn't mean there's unlimited diversity. It should be according to rules of Shastra. Not that we become so diverse that you go outside Shastra. And within ISKCON, that means specifically under the guidance of the rules that Srila Prabhupada gave. So there are limits to the diversity. Our unity is that we follow Srila Prabhupada. Diversity means Srila Prabhupada gave so many different programs to do. Diversity means that everyone is different individuals, but still spiritual Shastric guidelines are for everyone. Modern society promotes individualism above, at least theoretically, they promote individualism above everything. The Vedic culture is something quite different. That every individual is supposed to serve the whole. Unity comes first, diversity second. It's amazing, Prabhupada, he established Krishna consciousness in the Western world where the culture is so different. So different. Probably in most places in the West, if I spoke like this, among a group of devotees, there would be lots of protest, actually. Maybe some of you are protesting in your minds, But you don't want to say so. That's also possible. Be lots of protests. It's a very different culture. But it's not real culture. It's not Aryan. In the proper sense. This word Aryan has become misused to divide the Indian people against themselves. To divide Dravidians, so-called Dravidians against so-called Aryans. Or just some imaginary theory invented for... It had the purpose of dividing Indians against themselves and giving the idea that... Because the British came and they could actually see that this culture is much older than ours and in many ways more advanced. And so they said, well, actually you didn't do it, it was us that did it. You see, our forefathers came from the same source. They all came from the Caspian Sea area, Central Asia. Caspian means Kashyap. It was all under the Vedic culture. And Indians still believe it. British were, I must say, my forefathers were very intelligent demons. Because it's Kali Yuga, they get more power to mislead people. In Kali Yuga, the people who are evil, they get more power, being empowered by Kali. And the only hope is chant Hare Krishna and overcome. What is that? Bhakti Thakur sings, Duranta Kali Palai. I can't remember exactly. There's a very nice song. Bhakti Thakur gave so many songs. Elo Gauranga Chanda Preme Elo Telo. That's you got that? What is that line? You got it there? Duranta Kali Palai. Parya Bribranta. Yeah. This Kali, he's very dangerous. But he becomes completely bewildered at the Sankirtan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Elo Gauranga Chanda Preme Elo Telo. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's also disheveled and like a madman in prem. So by the kirtan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers, then Kali, he becomes, he's very dangerous. But he becomes, disturbed. Doesn't know what to do. So we should have kirtan, Hari Kirtan. And kirtan of what Prabhupada says, repeat that. Otherwise, if we bring the demons kirtan, then everything will be spoiled. Demons, they're also busy making their propaganda. Kali's propaganda. Darwin's theory, be a success, work hard, get lots of money, women's rights, men's rights, reservations, and on and on and on. Yeah, then? Yeah, if we're actually going to establish Krishna consciousness in the world, then we have to defeat all these wrong ideas, beginning with I am this body and I'm an enjoyer of this world, and then Darwinism and this and that. Of course, I say, well, that's going to take some time. Maybe, probably, the way things are going. But in the meantime, we shouldn't just go along with this modern society. Otherwise, we get carried away by it. We should make our position very clear. We don't agree. We're not part of this demoniac. It is demoniac. It's not normal and nice, and it's wrong. We should be very clear in our own minds. We may not go up and grab people in the street and shake them and say you're a demon, but we should know this society is wrong. Actually, if you read Prabhupada's books regularly, you'll get the clear idea. He says, right in the beginning of Bhagavatam, I think it's in the second chapter he says this modern society is a royal edition of the animals. So, don't compromise with this modern society, otherwise we're doomed as they are. Okay, so we're finished? Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.